So let's talk about indoctrinated souls. Basically, really like soulless people that don't create their own soul force. They use the soul force that's available for them from the world by their limited preview or their limited ability to get out of those programs. That really is just indoctrinations and forms of catering to things as far as things that have been programmed already on the land. So if you're following a religious program, for example, let's say on the Eastern continent in the Middle East, you might follow Islam as a religious program. If you're on the Western continent or in Europe or in Americas or some shit like that, you might follow like Jesus or Christianity and stuff like that. But it's all really just based upon the same blueprint that really runs the world overall. And it's just different programs in different geographical locations, different political parties, communism or Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, liberals, or whatever geographical location that you're on, monarchy, or whatever it is that's still being practiced as far as a form that people accept that hasn't been transmuted yet, based on the people who are just really being docile and stuff like that. So when you see people that are just indoctrinated and stuff like that, that's just really people that are just being used for an agenda, and they're just really justifying their hell mental labor that they have to do, doctrines they have to uphold and read. And when they don't uphold these things, they feel guilty or feel scared. AKA some people, if they're driving on the land, on the roads, and it's a 60-speed-kilometer drive or road, whatever, 60-speed-kilometer limit, some people might feel guilty. And you might actually really manifest an experience where you get pulled over or something bad happens just based on how you feel. Because once you resonate with these things, you attract thoughts and feelings that lead you to those outcomes and stuff like that. So people got to be careful what they choose to resonate with and shit like that. So it's really important to watch out for what you have on your mind, because what you have on your mind can fucking make you or can fucking unmake you. If you become too unstable mentally, you create unstable situations. You become stable mentally, aka create balance, equilibrium, you're able to harmonize more of your situations and have more solutions rather than things that go chaotically out wrong and stuff like that, just based on whatever losses you may have. So a lot of the soulless people that they don't create their own souls based on not understanding expansion beyond the space and stuff like that, being the bigger spirit, and actually looking at these things like these things are lesser lights, these things are lesser things. Like people that read the Bible and the Qurans and these political parties uphold these laws. They don't look at these laws like a bitch. Like, okay, let me learn to destroy these laws and let me just create new laws type shit rather than upholding these things. Like, what were they, like beyond that even, what were these people even observing to come to the conclusion of creating that morality, to come to creating that text and stuff like that? Obviously it was observing like universal laws that govern all things and stuff like that, and creating things based off of. So when an indoctrinated soul, when a soulless person is not able to, you know, understand these things, they just play out like the logic, the practical, literally being just a possessed golem and stuff like that. And it all works just based on like fear, intimidation, and shit like that. Because even like if you want to get out of certain religions, sometimes you might get like guilt tripped, you might get like attacked mentally, told, or you're gonna go to hell and stuff like that. But you can only go to hell if you feel hellistic in the first place. And that's what a lot of these religious people be in a state of mind in the first place, for you to even cuss out or tell another person that they're going to hell. You gotta be in a state of, you know, being holistic yourself for you to even come at it from an emotional space. You gotta be more angelic if you're really not going to hell. Really, you got the logic and you're not so into the feelings, unless you see that, okay, this person is, you know, trying to fight you with fire type shit like that. So you understand laws, you're not gullible, you understand these are different things. But it's like, we gotta create balance and shit like that, right? So the free spirit will be able to create more circumstances and situations that's just more so far out, more so in their favor, just based on them being in their favor, based on not being subconsciously lost in these programs of the world. That's really just denominators and variables that are really just pulling you away from yourself, for you not to actually create the character by, you know what I'm saying, condensing the thoughts and feelings. Because look, we're all just like a womb. So this is the body is a container, and you have thoughts and feelings flowing out through you and shit like that. That's why you have the sign of the snake, the sine waves and stuff like that, yin and yang rotations, because that's what we do throughout this body. That's just different geometrics, different ways our organs works, different starting points for these things, right? So we all do these things mentally, but when we're not doing these things for ourselves and we're letting someone else do these things for us, we just become like possessed. We just letting someone else run reality for us. So you gotta learn to run reality for yourself. You gotta use these things as your bitch, not let these things use you as a bitch. So it's like, you're either gonna learn to build the world mentally, be mentally strong, or you're gonna, be mentally weak and build their world, aka we have mental titans, Nephilims, people that are actually mental giants with real abilities and skills, with understanding real occult knowledges and stuff like that, really pulling strings behind closed doors and stuff like that, and really just putting variables into society as far as shows, entertainment, TV shows, and all types of shit. And people can't really see their way out of these things often than not. And it's really unfortunate because it really is a light and awareness that people are stuck into. Because a lot of the times I have to see what these people are doing. But anyways, a light and awareness that you're stuck into, a lot of times that's actually the trap. So when you see Jesus in the church, when you see a lot of these democratic parties, now these things are not bad. We use these things, but people get lost in the logic of these things, in the outline pinpointing of these things, as far as having to play out these things. See, people let these things use them. People don't know how to use these things. Like, fuck both the left and the right. Fuck the Democrat and the Republicans. Use these things like a bitch. And that's what the shadow government does. They sit back, utilize these variables, pull people in based on whatever lostness they have, whether they're lost on the left brain, too logical, too practical, can't be free emotionally or visionary, or you're too emotionally lost. And right brain wise, you might go more towards the Republicans. Left brain wise, you might go through no. But the Republicans are more left brain wise, sorry. Democrats are more right brain wise. So depending on whatever you're into, based on not being able to develop an equilibrium, an actual solution, an idea prompt solution to unite society, to unite things, to create structure systems and stuff like that, you might not even be able to do that, though. That's the thing. So it's like, if you can't do that personally, someone else will do that for you. And if the world's already built for you, automatically you're going to be lost in the shapes and forms of these things. And the indoctrinated soul in this case would literally just be lost in the dreams, in that dream, because this is just a solidified dream. Life is a solidified dream and stuff like that. So this is a dream we condensed and fell into based on before being some type of mental atmosphere that's experiencing itself around other mental atmospheres, around different temperaments, different degrees. Because just like how you see the world, there's warmth, cool, extreme coldness, extreme hotness, stuff like that, different metrics of reality, seasonal transitions, down to even condensed trees, and there's the bone structure, calcium, because you're literally just stardust inside of a body and shit like that. So it's just about being able to sit back and actually observe what these things are and not getting lost in these things. Because when we get lost in these things, we're just completely lost in the world. And now we're not using the world is using us. And now we have effectively become the creation and not the creators. And a lot of the times, even when it comes to like personal development or just like well-being and stuff like that, we could be lost in visions. Like, you could be watching too much TikTok, you could be having visions in your head of like shit off the world, to the point that you can't go to a new location mentally, aka this chakra here is not necessarily free to go somewhere else and experience something else, so you can bend in something new to this realm, this dimension, this 3D reality, from really the far out realm, the 7th, 8th, 9th dimension. Be able to create a new reality by giving death to something, letting go of something, not having the imagination of the world, which is the 6th, 7th, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th dimension, the realm of imagination, the realm of souls. And a lot of the times the indoctrinated souls that die, come back here again and keep being in these cycles, don't understand what's actually going on. Aka that's the sheep, the dumb, deaf, and blind, the NPCs, the religious people, the people that are lost in political parties, aka the people that participate in the world in ways that are not miraculous, aka they really just believe in their docileness, they believe their incapabilities, so they want to see these things be done in some way, shape, or form outside of them. And a lot of the times that give the shadow government forms of justifications as far as them being right of doing these things, because it's really a slavery system, but the average person can't necessarily see these things, because the indoctrinated soul is really just damning its spirit for the long term and stuff like that, not developing intelligences, being a dumber spirit, developing, because a smarter spirit is kind of like an F-35, a dumb spirit is like, a truck, slow. I don't want to say it like that, because that's dumb, because again, that's just being lost. But it's like being stuck in either values, maybe you don't want to do things too fast, being too mutable and stuff like that, interchanging things too much. Sometimes you gotta stay fixated, you gotta stay stuck into something so you can actually manifest that, aka doing that Jedi energy, doing that Ankh energy, taking your thoughts and feelings, which you observe personally though, as a new starting point, not one that has been given for you. So those two sparks, when they interact, you create a whole new observation of reality and a whole new situation and a whole new solution based on looking at your ideas and problems. And these things become fluids, and these things, because you're an observer, you're a spirit observing, and you create fluids. These things become chakras, organs, and we organize these things into different densities and stuff like that based on a pre-existing blueprint, because we're a whole like spiritual race traveling, and we all have our own relative position within this fluid, within this ocean, within this sphere and stuff like that. And it's just we all creating reality together. But the better we can learn to create reality on better terms and conditions, not only outside of us with like external governments, people, places and shit like that, and things as far as thoughts and feelings, but also internally being able to understand that, okay, we too can be charismatic, we too should love ourselves, we too should know ourselves and not be under the servitude of someone else, because these things are available to everybody. But the people that are lost in indoctrination don't see it that way. They don't see the expansion in reality. Like the average person that's not spiritual, or like or watching spiritual people, or not taking the time back to look at what these things actually are, they're lost in the indoctrination. They're lost in, being an indoctrinated soul. They're not a free spirit. They can't go expand beyond this reality. So a free spirit automatically has a lot more more available to it, because it experiences and it understands that it's not experiencing reality just based on physicality. It understands the yin realm, it understands speculativeness, it understands subjectivity. That's why you have a lot of theologians like Muslims and Christians arguing for years. Let's say like even Muhammad Hijab and all these guys in the park and shit like that, trying to argue for like, oh, Islam is right, or no, Christianity is right. Oh, look, this religion is guilty. Oh, look, this religion is not as logical as this. No, you gotta understand how they created these things. All these things, all these books, all these pictures that even Leonardo da Vinci was making, or whoever you're looking at, whatever they're making, it's always based on an aspect and a character. And either that aspect or character is going to be a higher character or a lower character. And you can make these things into movies. You can write stories about these things, because these are things that we all experiencing into reality. So for example, right? Let's say, for example, someone is, has their planets in astrology above the horizon, right? So that would be a more expressive person. That would be a more person that externalizes things and stuff like that, right? So this person that externalizes things could describe as being warm, energetic, because they're constantly expressing, depending on however they do it. But let's say they're an Aries, or they're a fire sign and shit like that, Leo, Aries, or Sagittarius, or some shit like that, right? Now this person being energetic, they might be even described as hot-headed in some situations, depending on how their alignments are and stuff like that, because it depends from each person. Some people can create balance, some people don't. So if this person can't create balance, then you can create an allegory about a problem not being able to create balance because I'm hot-headed, and then writing about the solution. Oh, okay, let me not observe that situation like that, because I understand it's going to create a bad outcome. So you can put that in a painting, you can put that in a holy text, you can put that in the scripture, you can put that in video format, you can put that in however way you want to. But we're all trapping these things, right? We're all just moving our minds and doing all kinds of mental sigils and shit like that. So all these jujutsus and shit like that, these are real mental things that we do. How do you think even strategies of war are? You gotta understand how to cut through enemy lines. You understand how to use a velocity in your advantage. So if you have a horseman battalion, for example, with spears, that could be the battalion based on them having horses and spears and large shields to cut through enemy lines based on the velocity that they would go in. Because a man doesn't have more stance than the velocity of a horse would hit him, or chariots and shit like that. So all these things are just different variables. When we understand how to move these things, we can create reality better on our terms, based on actually being real mental magicians, based on understanding real geometrics, based on understanding actual alignments and stuff like that, and based on just understanding like types and temperaments and just all types of shit. Like, this knowledge is infinity, but the thing is, you have to expand your spirit to even get to those spaces, to bring back to this reality, so you can actually play out these aspects on a higher level. Whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that you're playing out with this avatar, based on the thoughts and feelings that people are condensing, right? So it gets really low vibrational, because the average person that's stuck into race and xenophobia and stuff like that could be indoctrinated into the programs of being racist to someone else and lowering the vibration of someone else based on directing hate. But that's really just misdirected hate. If anything, you should hate the system that's actually dividing you to hate that system, that thought, because that's not allowing humanity to come together. So in one breath, yeah, God God loves everybody. God wants to unite everybody. But in another breath, yeah, I don't like this type of race. So it's like people actually have that type of mind where it's like you contradicting yourself by the systems that you into, you know? Like, it's just weird. So even as a black person, I would never sit down and worship a white Jesus, especially if I don't understand the esoteric mysticism behind those things. Understand, like, okay, that's like a light, objective thought. That's like the sun. That's like a masculine thought that we actually do as far as logic, practicality. You know what I'm saying? More so high vibrational and stuff like that. Not necessarily low vibrational. Doing the actual Jesus spell and ritual by actually loving your own individuality, loving your action, your courage, how you do these things. You know what I'm saying? Doing these things with love, beauty, and light. But having Jupiter as well, seeing the wisdom, the meanings and reasons behind these things and shit like that. So we all got different versions of how we take our observations and build up fluid structures based on observations in our chakra and tether these in existence. Because we already did these things, we just regenerate cells and thoughts and feelings, aka Ouroboros, regenerating and degenerating cells, but really mentally thoughts and feelings, high vibrationally or low vibrationally. So you got to learn to, or you know, indoctrinatedly or freely spiritually, because that's really the difference between being religious, because religious is just the parameter and the program of, you know, being indoctrinated really, and just being in a box and not being able to expand. Because really, like I said, a lot of people think they need to go to the light. It's not the light, it's the darkness. Go to the dark, because there you can develop a more far out space, you know, a more far out thought, a more far out feeling. And these things are worth way more down here, because you gotta understand the first resource. A lot of people get lost in the physical money. A lot of people get lost in the political parties, having the suit and the tie. No, you gotta have the spirit. You gotta be a man or a woman of character, and that takes being virtuous and stuff like that to actually really condense these star bodies, to really crystallize these things and congeal these things inside of this prism of light that is a body and shit like that. And the light plays out in different levels of fluidity, blood. All these are just different forms of light. And these are just correspondent aspects to the whole body of God. Like blood, you could say is like passion, red. You look at the color of these things, right? There's a lot of ways you can put yourself in these spaces to understand these things from a deeper perspective. And now you understand how to look at things from a more holistic perspective, not a divided perspective. Because when you look at things from a divided perspective, you're always not gonna be able to bring things around. You're gonna lack something. Like, for example, you might be more, you could be more, what's it called, hot and wet, you know, right brain wise, more speculative, more visionary, more feelings, right? Or you could be more dry, and I forgot what was the other one called. It was dry earth, and it was the air. It was something relating to air. I forgot what it was. But basically, it's just to say left brain. So it's just so many different ways of understanding these geometrics and observing these things, because that's really what God understands. For any religious person watching this video, if you understand what God means simply, just understand the first word of God. And that's a whole travel, that's a whole sigil on its own. Real shit. That's just understanding geometries of the world, and that's not even God. That's just being able to divide, use mathematics, and look at these things for what they are. Geometries and shit like that. Prisms of light, playing out in different densities, playing out in different temperaments, playing out in different levels of fluidity, to the point that rocks look fluid, but it's solidified. Fire's fluid, but it's light in density. Water looks fluid, but it's a little more denser than fire. Air is fluid, but it play out in a different density. Real shit. So all these, that's why esotericism is so important, because it really unites the world, because the world's really lost in objectivity and external things, not being privy to internal things. And a lot of the times, if you're too subjective, coming from your own space, they might create a mental program of being like, oh, this person is mentally ill, create some type of like ailment. And a lot of the times that don't even matter. You can just create your own program, because at that point you know how to play ball. At that point you're a real wizard. At that point, whatever alignment someone create, no weapon formed against you will prosper. All who rise up against you will fall. What space do you think that person was in to even come up with that saying? In a space that they obviously didn't fall. They obviously wasn't destroyed. So what was they doing to be in that space? That's what people gotta look at. Not being like, oh, I glorify this person, I glorify that person because they got in that space first. No, you get in that space, and whatever person sold you that idea, they're really just the backstabbers. Because first of all, when you look at the story of Jesus, exoterically or exoterically, we're talking about more exoterically right now, externally and stuff like that. If I was Jesus, first of all, I wouldn't have been killed. I would be way more slick. I'd be way more spiritual. You would see these things because you know who your enemies are when you're spiritual. It's not even like a joke. It's like taking candy from a baby. Like, you see these things in real life because you literally don't fight people's flesh and blood. You literally fight virtues, lords of darkness, like how the Bible likes to say for the Bible thumpers out there. Now I'm saying you literally fight in the darkness, because fighting the darkness is understanding that the world of light, really, that's the darkness, and the world of thoughts and feelings, really, that's where the light really plays out, aka the original starting point and stuff like that. So, you know, it gets really deep, man. It gets really deep. But yeah, I think that might be it for today. Real shit. But yeah, man, indoctrinated soul, trying to be an indoctrinated soul, because, man, there's so many worlds out there you can go to that are just way better than this world, but based on the thoughts and feelings that people identify with, if people keep on replicating these thoughts and feelings, man, they're gonna come back into this realm and play out a heavier cycle of those things. Because a lot of these things used to be subconsciously leading them based on leading the blind programs, and nobody really knowing what they doing type shit, or thinking they know what they doing, but really they don't know what they doing in the grand scheme of things and stuff like that. So you can see governments around the world consolidating control more and stuff like that. And when you're not able to consolidate things, sorry. I have someone call me right now, so I'm distracted. But yeah, man, you know what? I think this is a good video. I'm gonna go. I got some dinner I gotta go to. Peace out, y'all. Real shit.